There are 5 mistakes I see Bitcoiners making over and over again with their Bitcoin inheritance plan. And any one of them means your family loses access to everything you've built. And I'm not talking about edge cases. I'm talking about mistakes that smart, security conscious, very careful Bitcoiners make because nobody told them otherwise. In this video, I'm going to walk through all 5 mistakes and, more importantly, how you can fix them. And watch out for number 4 because that's the one that catches most people. Number 1, putting your seed phrase into your will. Now, I know this sounds obvious, but I still see people doing that. People think that the will is private, but in reality, it is not. In Australia and many other parts of the world, during a process known as probate, your will becomes a public document, a matter of public record. Anyone, in exchange for a small fee, can request a copy of your will. So, of course, if your seed phrase exists in your will, the people who access your will have access to your seed phrase, aka your Bitcoin. So, do not include seed phrases in your will. In fact, you may even want to consider excluding mentioning Bitcoin at all. So what's the fix? Firstly, do not name the Bitcoin seed phrase in your will. And secondly, you may want to consider including Bitcoin as part of the residue of your estate rather than naming it as a specific gift. You obviously wouldn't put your seed phrase on Twitter, so just don't put it in your will. The second mistake is assuming that your seed phrase is the inheritance plan. You've got your seed phrase stamped on steel or titanium. It's in a fireproof safe. You're sorted, right? False. You're not sorted. Not even close. A seed phrase without context to a non-technical person, to a person who doesn't understand Bitcoin, is useless. They need to understand the context. They need to understand, well, is there a passphrase? What wallet software should I use? How can I go about verifying the Bitcoin addresses and the balance? And who should I trust and who shouldn't I trust? The seed phrase is the key, but you need a manual to explain how that key actually works. You need a technical roadmap, a step-by-step plain language document that explains how to actually safely access your Bitcoin. It needs to be written for someone who's never touched a hardware wallet. And that's the difference between an inheritance plan and a puzzle. The third mistake I see is not telling anyone that there is a plan in place. You wouldn't believe how common that is. This is actually like the silent killer. You've done all the work. You've written absolutely everything down, but you never went ahead with the next step, which was tell people that your plan exists. And I get it. Bitcoiners are private by nature. It's a strength of ours, but that strength becomes a weakness in the realm of inheritance. Your executor must know that you've actually got a plan in place. Your spouse knows what to do next in the event of you passing away. And look, you don't have to give them all the details, but you have to give them enough information so they can act step by step without you. And that's, of course, the key part. Without you, you're not going to be there to explain anything. Fourth mistake I see is naming a beneficiary who doesn't understand Bitcoin. This is the one that I think catches the most people out. And in some ways, you could say it is the most unfair thing you can do to your loved ones is give them this incredibly powerful, valuable asset without them understanding what it is and how it works and why you actually cared about it in the first place. So imagine this, you leave everything to your wife, but you've never given her any information about how this thing actually works. So in the midst of grieving, she's now got to figure out how this technical asset actually works. This is what I call the widow test. Could your spouse or parent or your child, whoever the beneficiary is, implement your plan today? If not, they've failed the test. If your beneficiary cannot enact your plan today, what are the odds of them being able to do so during the fog of grief when you're no longer there, helping at all? So this sounds ominous, but the fix is really simple. It's education. You need a simple guide that walks them through what Bitcoin is, how it works, and who they need to contact in the event of you passing away. You don't need to turn them into a Bitcoiner. The chances are they're never going to be a Bitcoiner. We're often the only Bitcoiners in our family, but you simply need to make them capable so that they know what to do in the event of you passing away so that they can actually access your Bitcoin. And the fifth and final mistake I see people making is that they'll build a plan and then never update it when their circumstances change. Let's say you put in place a will and estate protocol 2 years ago. But since then, your self-custody setup has evolved. It always evolves. If you're a Bitcoiner, you're always looking for better ways to secure your Bitcoin. But now you're stuck with a situation where your inheritance plan refers to an old setup. And an outdated plan is probably worse than having no plan at all, because your family thinks they've got instructions, but of course those instructions are completely wrong. and outdated. So what's the fix? Simple. You need to just put in place a recurring review of your Bitcoin inheritance plan once a year. It takes 20 minutes and you run through both your personal circumstances and your Bitcoin setup. And if anything's materially changed in those 12 months, you update accordingly. Otherwise, set for 12 months' time and do the review again. It's simple. Think of it as a health check for your Bitcoin. We often do self-custody health checks, and this is very similar within the context of inheritance. Your Bitcoin self-custody setup evolves. You need to make sure that your Bitcoin inheritance plan evolves alongside it. Every change you make in your Bitcoin security setup needs to be properly documented and up to date in your Bitcoin inheritance plan. Because if you fail to do so, you've created a single point of failure, and the prospect of accessing your Bitcoin rapidly diminishes to zero. So these are the 5 mistakes I see most frequently with Bitcoiners. Number 1, putting your seed phrase in your will. Number 2, thinking that your seed phrase is your inheritance plan. Number 3, creating a plan and then never telling anyone. Number 4, naming a beneficiary in your will who has no clue about Bitcoin. And then lastly, number 5, not updating your Bitcoin inheritance plan as your self-custody setup evolves and changes. I said number 4 catches most people out, and it really does. This is the widow test. Can your partner right now implement your Bitcoin inheritance plan without you? If not, they've failed the widow test. If the answer is no, that is your number 1 priority. If you want to know where you stand, book a free diagnostic call with me at mybitcoinworld.com/free diagnostic. I will walk through where you are today versus where you want to be and exactly what you need to do to fix it. That's 20 minutes, no sales pitch, just an honest assessment of where you're at and what you need to do next. If you're looking for information in the world of Bitcoin and inheritance, subscribe to the channel. I'll put out a new video once a week. Until the next one, see you soon.